collective love for dads and families. And whoops, not this episode, this one. Here we go. Today we are looking at overwhelm, from overwhelm to balance, managing dad burnout. So I'm Christine Bernat, stress management coach and much more, certified EFT master practitioner, Tellura mastery practitioner as well. And I'm excited to share this with you because, dads, like anybody else in this world, stress does affect us. And it doesn't need to keep ruling our lives. It is possible to make some changes to bring about things. So if you're feeling drained, exhausted, and or mentally checked out, is it burnout? If it is real. And it's sometimes really kind of hard to accept, to say, hey, I'm burnt out right now. But dads, it's time to learn to recharge before you hit empty. Because I can tell you from my life experience, when you do not take that time to recharge and you hit empty, the upward back to being healthy, physically, emotionally, mentally, is quite challenging. So let's talk about how to get your energy back. Today, I'd like to start with talking about some of those hidden signs of dad burnout and what you might want to do about it. So there's a lot of research by leading psychologists and neuroscientists, and they've identified, and I checked out the Ohio State University has done a study on this, and recognizing signs early is crucial to seek appropriate support so that you can implement effective coping strategies to keep you from hitting rock bottom, from being empty, and you deserve that. So I want you to take a deep breath, and I want you to just and really look at what is it that's going on in your life right now. Are you sometimes feeling emotionally detached or feeling a kind of numbness? So that would look like kind of you're lacking enthusiasm for activities that you once found enjoyable, or maybe you're feeling um, that you're just going through the motions without genuine engagement. Or just doing it. Okay, what's the next thing? Okay, this needs to get done. Okay, I need to be that perfect dad. Yeah, I tried to be the perfect mom and the perfect teacher, and I burnt out completely. And when I say completely, I mean to a point where I could barely make full sentences. I couldn't read more than 3 words without getting a splitting headache. I couldn't walk anymore. My body, my physical body crashed, my mental body crashed. I couldn't even remember 2 plus 2 is 4. And one of my fun games was with the students, was to play around the world. So we'd have multiplication cards, and you'd show the card, and the first student, you had 2 students that would look at it. The first student who got it right would walk around the classroom, which we called going around the world. And I would go against the best student of the class on that day. And I think I always won, or almost always, because I knew my multiplication tables faster than anything. And then during that time period in 2017, 18, 19, my brain was erased. I had no clue. You'd say, "What's 3 times 2?" And I'd be like, I don't know." Like, and all I would get would be a splitting headache. I was unable to retrieve that information. So, this is why I think it's super important that you recognize, even if you just have it slightly, congratulations, you can start taking some actions now. And I really want to support you because you do not want to go to the burnout level. It is not worth it. I don't wish that experience on anyone. So, okay, number 1 was that emotional detachment, numbness that you start feeling when it comes to being a dad, right? You're kind of disconnected from your children and your family life. You're not wanting, you're not excited about spending the weekend or spending an hour with them. Number 2 is that constant feeling of guilt or not being good enough that comes up. You know, that guilt, we've talked about it in prior episodes, and it is big. We live in a society where often we are made to feel guilty. We're made to feel like we're not good enough. And that guilt can just exasperate us. And, maybe we'll be more absent at work, or maybe we can only see what we're doing wrong. What we're doing wrong. We're unable to see the amazing things that we're doing. And then we get into this cycle of self doubt. And when we're there, it's really challenging because we can only see the negative. And as a mom and as a teacher, it was really challenging sometimes when you had a child that would irritate you, especially in the classroom, and you're only noticing that child. Has that ever happened to you? And you feel like the teacher is picking on you. And she is, or he is. What is it that happens within that teacher that creates that? So it's the same question. What happens to you as a dad that makes you pick on your child, looking only for what's not good enough in them? Is it because you yourself are not feeling good enough in your heart, in your being? Great question, isn't it? Let's take a deep breath. It's okay to have some self-doubt, but you don't want to be, anyway, in my opinion, you don't want to be self-doubting yourself all the time. So number 3, the chronic fatigue or sleep isn't optimal. So you will get physical symptoms. And these look like, you're exhausted, yet you're unable to fall asleep. Or you wake up often and you're not getting the proper deep sleep that you need to have for your body to be able to recuperate. So you're waking up exhausted. Or it's really challenging for you to just cope with everyday parenting demands. I remember those moments. It was difficult for me to cope with anything. Anyway, someday I might tell you some of the worst moments, but not right now. Let's continue on this journey and see what else. So, sleep is one of the most important. I know some people who sleep 5 hours a night and they're feeling amazing, and I wish for you to keep going. However, personally, I need my 8 hours of sleep and I need to find ways to get it. As a mom with newborns, that's a huge challenge. And why is there that postpartum depression? Are you sleeping as much? Is your body recuperating so that you wake up rested and full of energy? Not sure. Do you need to ask for help especially if you have little ones, right? Self care. Okay, so mm, memory relapses or challenges with decision making. That would be our number 4. It's not easy. We get this overload and we feel like, we might be experiencing some memory lapses, or we're having difficulty concentrating, or challenges in making decisions that used to be super easy are becoming more challenging. So, what's going on there? And even, oh, yes, with your task, your routine tasks, you're forgetting the lunchbox, you're forgetting, and you've been doing the lunchbox and have never forgotten it. Now you're starting to forget it. So those are signs that you need to bring in some self-care or get extra help. So this mental fog will prevent you from being this effective parent, effective dad that you want to be. And then what happens? The stress levels go up. You don't feel good enough anymore. That self doubt kicks in. It's that cycle. And it's not a fun cycle to be in. And whether all this conversation is, whether you're conscious of the conversation or unconscious of it, it's still affecting you. Sometimes we've learned very young to survive, to disconnect, and we're not noticing. I've said this before, and I'll say it again just so that you understand what I'm trying to say. I'm not saying you're there. I hope you never go there. But when my daughter said to me, "Oh, Mom, you were so dramatic. I couldn't cope with you." And she took a year off of seeing me, being with me. And I was so sick that, I mean, I was almost fine with it because I was so exhausted. I was so burnt out. And later on, I asked my son, "And, do you find that I was dramatic?" He says, "Oh, no, Mom. You were, what is it? Not dramatic. You were, oh, I can't believe I can't remember it. I don't want, you were neurotic." Oh my gosh. I went, "Ugh." Good thing he was driving, looking at the road, but my face was like, "What?" I was able to say nothing. "You really think so?" "Oh, yes, Mom." So it's really challenging, but I did not want to see that. And that's the point I'm trying to make right here. I did not want to see how I was behaving because my go to since I was very, very little was to disconnect from reality to survive. And when we disconnect from reality, it's easier to deal with it, isn't it? Because it's like, "Oh, this happened. I'm erasing that and I'm jumping forward to the next moment that was joyful." And that's what my brain used to do. It still does it a little bit, but I've been training my brain to be present, which has been quite a journey and an important one at that. So, number 5, social withdrawal or even isolation, right? We not calling our friends as much, or if they call us, we don't feel like going, or with family, "Oh, you go and take the kids. I'm going to stay here. I don't feel like going." So, even if your friends are calling you, so this, you feel even more isolated, you feel even more alone, and it just amplifies those burnout symptoms. And it's very important to go get some support if you're there. Not support from a place of self love because you love yourself enough to take care of yourself so that you can be the amazing dad that you really are. This exhaustion, this social isolation, this memory lapses, the fatigue, the guilt, and the detachment or numbness to what you usually do is not who you truly are, is it? I know it isn't, because I know that neurotic Christine was not the real me. It was the one that was at ends with, right? And I had not taken the time to, and didn't know how, didn't have the resources, or didn't dare, right? That guilt, that shame. I mean, I was a teacher. I had to be and look amazing. And there's a picture of me in my last year in that school. And I am so stressed out, so skinny, so like, yeah, it wasn't me. This is me here now. So if you're feeling like really down and in the dumps, right, empty, it's super important that you seek professional support. Find someone that you feel confident with, that you feel can support you. I went to see many psychologists before I found one that I liked. I did. It was important back then. That's what was part of my journey, was to work. And she did not want me to take decisions that would bring me back down. She was my support, right? Sometimes we need that because we're so far down. Hopefully, you're not there. And if you would like my support, book a discovery call. No pressure, no hassle. We'll just chat and see if I'm a good fit to support you with where you're at, or if you need something else. The other thing that's really important is having someone that you trust, with whom you can talk about your feelings and your challenges. Sometimes it can be your partner, it can be friends. Some people, it can be their parents. I think most people, maybe not, but that's okay. I still remember one day, I want to tell this story because we were telling students to get mentors. And this child says, I am not getting a mentor. And I'm like, oh, but why not? I said, there's your mom or your aunts. And he's like, if I tell them anything, everybody in the family will know. And I'm like, I agree with you. Let's find someone else. There is no way that's the kind of person you want to be communicating some of your challenges with as you head into the teenage years. So he, we teamed him up with a teacher, a male teacher that did him good, and that's what he needed. Some of you will want to work with male specialists, some of you with female specialists. It depends where your wounds are, how you're feeling. But find that person, at least one or two, that you feel comfortable, that can help you get out of the isolation, that can help you find solutions that work for your situation, because each and every situation is different, and that's super important. The other thing is prioritizing your self-care, incorporating physical activity. Now, there's lots of fun physical activity that you can do with your children, but if you're too low down that totem pole, find time just for you. If you have an infant or a toddler, getting not a wheelchair, well, I just have the word in French, a stroller with 3 big wheels where you can run or hike or getting a seat behind your bike. I used to love biking with my son behind me. And when he became too big, I got him, they call it the giraffe. It's a nice piece like this with the wheel and a seat. And he would sit on the giraffe, and my daughter would sit in the seat behind me on the bike. And we would go from park to park just having fun. So I'd bike 5-10 minutes, and then I'd sit and they'd have fun playing. And then when they were done, we'd hop back on the bike and we'd continue. And it was a great way for me to get some self care, because while I watched them play, I could just be breathing, relaxing, letting go of that junk that I had been carrying. Also, the nutrition. Do you need a nutritionist to help you? Sometimes what we eat can have a huge effect on how we feel, on brain fog. And there's so much information today out on the microbiome that you can Google that, or you can reach out to me. I have some people that I know that do that as well. And rest. Rest, rest, rest. With little ones, you can play doctor. Have you ever played doctor? You lay down on the floor and they look for something that's wrong with you. They play doctor. You can get a 5-minute nap from that one. And I've done that one many times when I was just exhausted from parenting. So, you know, there are tiny strategies that can help. Asking your spouse, right, for some downtime. How can that be incorporated into the routine so that you have some self care for you? It could be implementing reading time. Everybody reads for 20 minutes. You put the timer on. Well, if you have toddlers, they can be just giving them a picture book that they look at. And there's these timers that when you put the minute on, there's a red section. And then they can see when the red is gone, the quiet time is up. So that can be also an excellent way. I know that in the classroom, when the students came in and were rowdy, it was reading time. Everybody took their book, and if they didn't feel like reading, they could just put their head on their desk. It was quiet time. I didn't want to hear anyone. And it was a way for them to self-regulate at the same time. And it worked beautifully. Okay. Of course, the first time it may not. Persevere and keep trying. Maybe you need some little tips to help that. See what your challenge is. Are your expectations realistic? Because if your expectations are not realistic, are you putting way too much pressure on yourself? Right? You want your kids to go to law school. They're 2 and 3 and you're on their case. Give them space. What if they're an artist? Yeah, I know. Some people don't want to have kids who are artists because they want them to have enough money and and I get that. And it's about being able to trust our children so that we are not imposing stress on them and on ourselves. And of course, mindful practices. What are your mindful practices that give you that ability? Do you do yoga? Do you do Tai Chi? Do you do Qigong? Or is it Kung Fu that you need to release a lot of that energy? Push-ups, sit-ups. With your kids, you can say, hey, challenge, give me 5 push-ups, and you do it together. While you're doing your 5 push-ups, if there's a toddler, they can hop on your back while you do the push-ups. It's a fun way to just have a little bit of fun and manage a little bit of that stress through the push-up. Okay. So your emotional regulation is so, so important. And that's why we get to the next step, because we know that stress drains our mental, emotional, and physical energy. So we need to self-regulate. Yes, taking a nap helps. Yes, going for a walk in nature is amazing. Okay, nature is an excellent place to get some resources for ourselves and to reset quickly from emotions when you're triggered. Yesterday, I talked about a 3-second trick, and it was snap, excellent in the moment. Then my 9-second, relax the shoulders as you tap and burn that. Breathing in, holding, and exhaling for 4. Are you feeling better? I'm already feeling a bit of that stress that I had before from something else happening went down. And sometimes we don't realize it until we do it. So it's time for you to start showing up strong for yourself first and for your family. So I would love to hear, what is one thing you do to recharge when you're running on empty? I'm certain there are things that you do that I haven't talked about that would help other dads. So please share that in the chat below. And if you want to stop that burnout before it stops you, let's work on it together. Book a free discovery call, no pressure, with me so that you can take charge of your life today. On that note, I wish you an amazing day, or better than it was going. Remember to snap, tap, and zap that stress away.